So, congratulations, first of all, on the show. I saw a couple of episodes, and I must say, four
Okay.
episodes actually.
Hallo und willkommen bei Staying Awake.
Ich leide an Schlafstörungen. Ich kann nicht unterscheiden, ob ich wach bin oder träume.
Hallo und willkommen bei Staying Awake.
Ich dreh durch.
Bist ja ein ganz toller. Vollkommen nutzlos. Stevie.
Ich heiße Steven.
And Moon Knight is a really complex character, obviously. What was the most interesting thing you learned about him from the first time you read about it till today?
Well, what I found most interesting about him is that his superpower, to a certain extent, is the fact that he has dissociative identity disorder. That is, in a way, a bit of the journey. What you think is the superpower is actually not really the superpower. His superpower is a curse. So it just throws it on its head a little bit, you know? That part is his curse. The actual heroic element to him is what seems to be his weakest, most vulnerability. And I think there's something beautiful about that. That, coming to terms with your vulnerability and your pain and realizing that if you can integrate those elements of yourself as opposed to push them away, that gives you incredible strength.
And you already mentioned that he has multiple personalities and he's really good at fighting. So was it more mentally or physically challenging?
Well, it was both. It was both of those elements, and that's what's really fun about it because it's just so wide, the story. So, and you have to commit to all the aspects of it. For me, the biggest challenge was giving it a through line that all connected, even if it's not obvious how it connects, but for me, emotionally, it all connects. And so once that was very clear to me, then it was really fun to just commit to the superhero element, the mercenary part of it, the physicality of a person that doesn't work out at all, that is non-physical, that is completely kind of collapsed in on themselves a little bit, and the difference between those two people.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the disorder. How much research did you actually had to do on this part, and to understand this disease and what it means to people that have that?
Yeah, well, that was a huge part of it for me, and taking it very seriously. This isn't the definitive story about dissociative identity disorder. It is a fictitious version of it, but emotionally for me, it was very important to be true to what it can feel like to live with this. And so, for me, the Bible was this book called A Fractured Mind by Robert Oxman. Where he just really breaks down what it was like for him to discover that he had this identity, how it affected his life, and the uncovering of the trauma, because this happens from sustained abuse at a very young age. It's often sexual, and so it's so horrible, and yet there's this incredible survival mechanism that the brain can create to survive that kind of thing when you're 4 or 5 years old, when you don't even understand that there can be an alter that can take the abuse, and there can be an alter that has no idea of it, and there can be another alter that takes the abuser and puts them away somewhere, and it's an incredible coping mechanism, and sometimes it's so powerful that one of the alters can have a different blood type, the actual, real, physical, different attributes. So that is a superpower that is real that human beings have. So I think taking that and really finding ways to connect it to some of the more mythological, superhero-y stuff, it actually made sense because already it's such a wild internal life that is created when you have this disorder.
The character is the one thing. The other thing is the skills in boxing, fighting. I saw a video of you actually on Instagram where you were training for this part, and I thought, wow, that's tough to practice. how much time did you actually need to practice all of these steps, and were there any injuries on the way to the final cut?
Surprisingly, no, there was no injuries. Yeah. I mean, maybe I injured a few stuntmen, but you know, that's their job, right? No, I started training before the script was done, so that was just stuff that me and the people that I work with were kind of making up. There was a great gym in Brooklyn that we started using, the Brooklyn Zoo, and we just kind of thought about the character, thought about some of the different things that he might be good at, might be good to learn, and just went from there. It was all more inspiration than actual. Some of those videos, was about kind of inspiring some of his techniques.
Yeah. How long did it take actually for you? How many months?
Before we started shooting, I mean, I think I worked on it for 4 or 5 months beforehand. Yeah.
Wow, that's
I had
crazy.
a lot of time.
Yeah. So there are two really different characters. We have Steven, who is a little bit socially awkward, and then we have Mark, who's really confident, kind of the hero. Everybody thinks he is. What was the part that was more fun for you to play?
I really loved playing Stephen Grant. He just was such an indelible character, and finding his sensibility and his sense of humor and the way he interacts with the world. Someone that is so socially awkward, but also really desperately wants to connect with people, versus this other guy who wants to just push everyone away. So it was fun playing with those contradictions.
Ja?
Oh mein Gott, du lebst noch? Was ist los mit dir, Mark?
Wieso nennst du mich Mark?
Das muss schwierig für dich sein. Die Stimmen in deinem Kopf. Du trägst Chaos in dir. Akzeptiere das Chaos.